if you're interested in poetry and you're interested in the 7th century Tang dynasty poets, they are probably the most exquisite, some of the most exquisite poetry ever written. And what's very interesting when you look at them, when you try to translate them, I was talking about Rexroth's translation and Gary Snyder's translator. Many people have translated, like Wang Wei particularly. But when you see it, none of us can read Chinese. What we get it in is called pinyin. And pinyin, like if it would translate it, the moon floated quietly over the quiet ocean, pinyin it would be moon, ocean, quiet. And the rest was understood by the reader, but isn't understood if we say it now. So when we get to translate the Tang poets, they're wide open to translation. And you might yourself want to play with one, translating some. We got in, if you have a computer and you look under Chinese poets, all this stuff comes up, and it comes up in pinyin, which is very interesting, and it comes up in different people's interpretations. But you'll notice in much poetry that's translated, it's translated as though we read nothing but 19th century spiritual and poetry books, nothing but Tennyson or Longfellow, nothing, and many people's poetry, many people's Dharma sounds like it's a translation from another language, and it sounds like it's written in older English, stilted English, 19th century English. I've translated a whole bunch of them, and I'm probably going to do another book called Under Tang, what's the name of it? I'm lucky I'm thinking about Tang bamboo. But they're extraordinary to play with. And it's so nice, I mean, they're like, in fact, there's a line in here that says, Basho left a few poems for us yet to write. He didn't write them all, and there's a lot left up to us to complete. You might look at this stuff, because where are you going to find inspiration at this quality? Particularly on the internet. Although there's some wonderful stuff on the internet. Basho's snow is at my window. It has been falling for centuries. It is indifferent to time. Flakes, heavy with the Dharma, land perfectly in the present. Pilgrims nod to each other, silently washing dishes by the window. It is snowing. It will snow forever. Han Shan had a bonsai he secretly tended on Cold Mountain, 100-year-old cypress begun by his teacher. He smiles to himself when he speaks of non-attachment. Silence settles on us like a quilt. The drum abates as the mind quiets. This silence is of a single piece, and buoys the world despite gravity and all the metaphors for silence that silence produces. At the bottom of the mouth, just beneath the tongue, Basho slips into the ocean without a sound. One of the best is Meng Hao Te, whose name is translated in many different ways. This is called Meng's Mountain. These are real Dharma ancestors. These are people who we can contact in our soul, if you will.
We can know.
What'd you say?
We can know them.
We can know them. He's right. He's quite right. We can know them. This is called Meng's Mountain. Breathing out, I approach the mountain. Breathing in, the mountain approaches me. Following the barely visible trail through evolution, following the Milky Way across the top of the skull into the star field at the back of the mind. Evolution presses forward as sudden, wordless understanding. My longing is a rope bridge across icy ravines and empty compliments. My arms grow tired and fall away, vertebra by vertebra. The hanging gardens drift up the spine to reveal the 27 heavens. Bear attention. My face slips from my bare skull. Chest opening to expose Jacob halfway up the ladder. He longs for the horizon. So light this passage, one must carry a cicada in each hand to keep the sutras honest on the lips and in the heart that maps the way. I have a long poem here. I'm not going to read it, but it's about what's happening in the same place in China now. These mountains, all the places that were the hermits' huts have long since been destroyed, and these mountains are being turned into resort communities. And unfortunately, the construction workers aren't being paid, and they're committing suicide, jumping from the buildings they've just completed, because they can't bring home the seed and fertilizer that their wife and children need at home. Thus, their wife and children has to work on another's field. This was a country that once touted not need for money, but an idea of communal ownership and communal goods, which never worked then, and is now going to turn into, China may turn into the worst capitalism we've ever seen. It may make the United States, which has got some awful karma because of slavery and some other things, it's going to make us seem like nothing next to what's going to happen there, because there isn't a kind of, it was an interesting thing. At one point, during the Red Guards' rampage, they cleaned out all the monasteries. They made everybody close the monasteries. And there was 500,000 monks in the monasteries at the time. If you figure 10% of them, 50,000, were really awakened, imagine what a delight, what an energy that might have been. 50,000 wisdom fonts disseminated through a whole culture. Mm-hmm. That could have made that, you imagine what that culture could have been. But what gets in the way? Greed, ignorance, and fear.